This is Audio Stories of the Paranormal. You can find us at www.theaudiostories.com. I'm J.B. Simeon. Thank you for listening. The paranormal experience in this episode comes to us from community member Brenda Shin of Tacoma, Washington. It's called A Reverse Haunting. Before we begin this episode's journey, I'm asking all listeners to please share the Audio Stories of the Paranormal podcast with your family, friends, and associates. That way we can grow the community and increase the amount and quality of experiences available to us all to share. Thank you. Okay, let's learn something. Brenda writes, I was 15 years old when this occurred. In those days, we had an upright piano in the living room. The piano possessed a very highly glossed black lacquer finish. We could see objects reflected like a mirror in that finish. One evening, I heard the piano start playing. Since I was the only person in the house who played the piano, I was curious who could be playing. When I got into the living room, it was empty, but the piano was still playing. Standing behind the keyboards and looking into the piano's glossy reflection, I could see an image of myself seated at the piano keyboard playing that piano. In that image, I was wearing a beautiful blue dress. I didn't own a blue dress that looked like that. My mother heard me screaming and came running into the living room. I pointed to my reflection in the piano. She and I both watched the image, mesmerized for a while. Then, as the reality set in, we both panicked and retreated to the kitchen. In about a half hour, the piano stopped playing. Then, from the living room, we heard a small group of people loudly clapping and cheering. We gathered our courage and peeked into the room. It was still empty. On Saturday afternoon, my Aunt Kelly gave me a gift. When I opened the package, I found a beautiful blue dress. It was the same type of dress I had witnessed myself wearing in the piano's reflection that day. My mother and I both recognized the dress. We gave each other a look like deer caught in the headlights of a car, but we said nothing to my aunt. Later that evening, with my extended family gathered around me in the living room, I nervously played the selection of songs that I would play the next day in church. The entire time I was obsessing about my reflection in the surface of the piano. I looked exactly as I remembered the phantom looking a few days earlier. When I had finished playing, my family showed their appreciation by clapping and cheering. It was the same sounds that we had previously heard coming from the living room earlier that week. My mother and I looked at each other. We both had a "can this really be happening" expression on our faces. Since that event, we have always pondered why it happened. Why were we haunted by the future? All right, all you paranormals, this concludes A Reverse Haunting. Thank you, Brenda, for sharing your experience. I think you obviously experienced a time shift, and why, Brenda, we may never know. If you all have paranormal experiences that you'd like to share with the community, or you'd like to comment on the experience that Brenda had in this episode, please email me at mystory@theaudiostories.com. Or you can also post your response in the submission form on the homepage at www.theaudiostories.com. Thank you all again for listening to the Audio Stories of the Paranormal. I'm J.B. Simeon. I'll see you again next week with a new episode. Until then, be aware, be cautious, and take care.